is Kootenay morning. Well, lots of Nelsonites and folks with ties to our part of the West Kootenay were taken by surprise this month when the Globe and Mail came out with an article outlining a $500 million plan for the Granite Pointe Golf Club. Could see up to 300 homes, including some valued at nearly $2 million, hotels, shops, restaurant, and one of the best golf courses all of Western Canada. Since the Globe article was written, I believe over 1,800, maybe even more than that, have signed a petition opposing Hallō, that's the name of the development, posted on the change.org site, but one of two new websites as well. One is called HellNō created by a group of local, 24 locals. The site's tagline, housing for all, not for the few. The site's organizer, Paul Saso and Paula Kiss are with us today, and Paul has already told me I've made a mistake. It's HellNōHallō.com, correct, Paul?
Oh, sorry. Actually, no, it is .ca.
It's
I was thinking you were referring to the other website.
They're a little confusing, aren't they? So yours is HellNōHallō.ca.
Yes.
And what's the other one again? I got it mixed up too.
So that one by another guy in town is called HellNō and that's a great satirical angle on this whole thing that is quite hilarious. If you're looking for something funny, check out this morning.
It is funny. It is very funny. And at first, I thought when I was just kind of looking into the story for this purpose and also for the business column that we provide for the Nelson Star, I thought that was actually the column. I was like, oh, this isn't that bad, right? This isn't that serious. And then I thought maybe if they might have to be more serious. But honestly, if you want to smile, who was the fellow who put it together? He's a very sharp guy.
His name's Stevland. He lives over in Rosemont. Great guy. And been in town for a lot of years and really has a real creative flair.
You can tell. It's a good balance between the not so serious and the quite serious, which is more about what you and Paula are here to speak about. Thanks, Paula. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good, thanks.
So, Paul, you've been in town for just a while, familiar face. For folks who don't know you, tell people how long you've been here and what is it you do?
Yeah, I've been here for about 18 years. I've got a couple businesses in town. I'm mostly a hydrologist, so I do a lot of stream monitoring work. But I also have another business where I do shiatsu massage. So I have an office downtown. And some people may know me. I wrote a book a few years ago called Kootenay Inspired, where I interviewed inspiring people from around the area about their lives and created a little coffee table book that really tries to celebrate this area.
You're a community guy. You're very much a community guy, giving lots of your time to this project and others. And Paula, people will know you from around town as well. You were on Nelson City Council for 2 terms?
Just 1 term.
And when was that again?
That was 2011 to 14.
And you as well have been very involved in the community. I guess this question to you, Paul, what is the protest's mandate?
Yeah, our mandate really, Darren, is that we stand against housing inequality and the misuse of limited land resources for these resort-style developments, and we advocate for thoughtful, sustainable development of affordable, social, and supportive housing while integrating and preserving public space.
Okay. You go ahead. Did you?
Yeah, and we really bring that from. We started this whole thing with a petition, really, to hopefully give a voice to local people who are feeling a lot of outrage when this first popped up, and so that's really the gist of our petition that we're up to almost 2,000 signatures on now. Yeah.
Paula, were you involved in the presentation to City Council last week?
I was just part of the chairing section. We talked about it in advance and just tried to make sure that we were representing all of the signatories and the people that are really not excited about this proposal. Yeah.
You spoke in the public. I can't remember the exact name of the first 15 minutes of a council meeting. Anybody from the public can come up and chat. So you don't get a chance to do much back and forth with City Council. That presentation was fairly well received. But have you had a chance to dialogue with City Council in regards to where this Hallō proposal really is at after 3 years, I believe, of consultation?
Yeah, I've definitely had conversations with a number of the councillors, and as they've mentioned in at some point, they really can't say a whole lot and really come out publicly about this until there's a real public process, or the city can risk being sued by a developer when they're moving ahead with something like this. So they are, keeping a bit of a low profile on this in terms of speaking out or saying some things one way or the other. But we have some great proposals for them to take forward in the future here, and we will be going back to City Council with a delegation at some point, likely next week. But we'll see where things are at. There's a lot of moving parts right now, and we'll see where things are going. But we will be back with a delegation at some point where we'll be able to get more interaction going with Council in that forum where they're able to do that sort of thing.
Surely not something Council's sticking its head in the sand on. Paula, maybe you can offer some clarification on this. This would be a matter that is discussed in camera and is one of that there are three different matters that are always discussed in camera, right? What are they called again? There's the legal, isn't it? Have I asked you? Have you forgotten because it was some years ago?
It's a bit
legal land,
legal land and finance. I think I'm not sure.
Yeah, matters that all have to be by.
Yeah, and the thing is like until a developer comes to the city with a formal development permit application, or in this case, it would probably be a subdivision application. The city doesn't have anything to work with. So as long as it's just kind of pie in the sky visions, or it's being sold, like it's not real yet. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know exactly where it's at in the city process.
Guess you find out in the next couple of weeks. I wanted to ask you, the site's Facebook page notes that the proposed project violates City Council's intention for rezoning of Granite Pointe Golf Course property, and it doesn't meet the goals outlined in the 2013 OCP. 2013, quite a long time ago, but can you explain how so? That seems a little bit complicated.
I can try to field that one.
Yeah, can you try and field? Yeah,
for sure. So our our official community plan, which is the OCP, is currently under sort of revisioning.
Right.
So the reason I referred to the 2013 one is because that's the last one that we had that's built out and approved and all of that.
Yeah.
So there's lots of the OCP is kind of like the community vision, and it speaks to a lot of things, but more specifically, the zone that this was given, so R2A was specifically designed for Rosemont, lists a bunch of permitted uses in that zone, and it really focuses on like residences, laneway houses, potential for secondary suite, multi-units. Like it's kind of dry,
Housing.
but it really defines what is acceptable in that zone. And really nowhere in that zone does it say resort-style development. And this is unarguably a resort-style development. 24 units, they're being designed very specifically to appeal to out-of-town buyers who would come here, occupy them briefly, and go back home. So that's not supported by the OCP. It's not supported in the zone. Now,
they are talking about, I believe originally it was 300 units. The 24 $2 million homes, fully furnished, is one part of the development. Have you got any understanding about what the other 270 some odd dwellings may be like? I know they have the developers have said when I got a chance to back and forth with them that there would be quite a mix. There will be workforce housing, places for seniors who want to age in place. What's going to happen with the rest of the development, and have you talked to them about that?
I think regardless of what happens with the rest of the development, I think it's really important to notice what they started with. Like that says that the priority is
Paul?
Yeah, and I have talked to them a bit about the rest of the development, and it is in the works phase with them. They've been in back and forth with the developer recently. They've mentioned they're going to be getting us the additional parts of the plan soon, so we can look at them. But they're not together yet, and I feel like they are starting to. They're feeling the pressure. They're getting a message from Nelson residents, and I believe they're changing things around already, and they have already changed the Dodger name to try and get some more support from this community. But yeah, in talking to them a bit more, there are other units that are going to be smaller. They're resort developers, so they know that they got to build some workforce accommodation if they're going to be building this sort of thing. So they're going to have some, staff accoms and stuff like that, and yeah, a variety of things like you mentioned, but yeah, we're really just pushing. We think we can do a lot better here. And I think this is a big opportunity now to pivot here and do something a lot better. And so we've been putting together a piece about an alternate plan for them, which we have shared with the developers now and with the golf course. It's still pretty bare bones, but so it's not, we haven't dumped it out to the public yet. And just one thing about what Paula was mentioning about the OCP and how it's not really reflected in that is there is an OCP update going on for the community right now. And so that's also a big part of this, making this effort right now, is we want the community's input. We want this kind of input that we have in our petition to go into that new OCP and make sure that this kind of thing is not happening in the future and that things are really directed towards our residents here who are really feeling the crunch right now.
Paul Saso is with us, so is Paula Kiss. They're with the HellNō Hallō.ca website in opposition to the $500 million plans to redevelop Granite Pointe as a world-class golf facility. Paul, you mentioned you have been speaking with the developers. Did you reach out to them or they reach out to you?
I reached out to them initially and got a couple of emails back, and then more recently, Ryan Stoltz, who works with the developer, reached out to me.
He's a real estate guy.
He's
right?
a real estate guy, but he works with Crestone, and he helps them a lot with their development. He does a lot of different things, as I understand.
And Crestone is in fact Mr. Kwan and Mr. Abrahami, working together, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So Ryan reached out, and we've had some good chats, and I feel like we're listening to each other, which is a great first way to start this.
So how does this end? What is the perfect the perfect conclusion to this plan? Are you trying to chase the developers right off? Do we want to see nothing up there but affordable housing? What do you see as there being is there some sort of a middle ground? What's the aim?
Well, yeah. So what we've been working on is an affordable, more affordable vision up there, and there's a couple of key components. The big one, really, that we're going for here. There's a few items here, but really the big thing that we want to do is we want to start creating an affordable housing neighborhood down at the Selkirk side of the golf course. So we want to take some land back from the Crestone development, give it back to the golf course. Then the golf course continues running the golf course. They don't need to give the lease over to Troon, this giant golf court conglomerate from the States. They can keep running it. Yeah. And then the what we'd like to see from Crestone is they go ahead, they can build some units, but let's dull it down. Let's not sell $2 million units with Austrian glassware. We're looking, people who live here and want to live here want houses. And so let's move it towards something that's fitting of our residents. And then the golf course can slowly sell land or donate land into this ever growing little affordable housing neighborhood that we're proposing, which is already sort of nestled in among some other subsidized housing, co-op housing down at that end of the zone. And we want also the city on board with this. And one of the things we're suggesting from the city is when parkland, which all the golf courses zoned as park, is converted into residential for whatever reason, if it is, let's make sure that 75% of that land goes into affordable housing,
right? And
maybe 25% or some small amount can be used for other types of housing that we also need here too. And
do you feel, Paul and Paula, do you feel when you look around the city that the affordable housing issue is slowly but surely being addressed? When you look at what the Nelson and District Chamber of Commerce is doing, they're going to have 6 floors of workforce housing. Pastor Jim Reimer was here a couple of weeks ago and was at City Council the same night you were at City Council. He's looking at apartments up near the Selkirk campus for affordable housing. There's speculation that the property on Government Road could be picked up by BC Housing. Same thing could happen there. Is this something? Do you feel that sooner or later the market, whether through public through public funding or private funding, will eventually address?
No,
you don't think so?
I think there's going to be
too much money to be made.
There's an increasing demand for housing affordability, and we've commodified housing, and so I think the market is always going to be leading housing out of reach for your average person. I think our disparity of income, like, I mean, you look around, are people comfortably housed in this town?
So really what you're talking about is, I mean, this really is almost a global problem in the West anyways, where there's this enormous, ever increasing gap between the people who have a lot of money and the people who don't have a lot of money. So it's community efforts like this, I suppose, that you think got to start working at the grassroots to make sure at least something positive happens in our little town. Yeah. Talk a little bit about how long have you both been here roughly? I'm kind of feeling like 20 years or something like that.
I've been here about 18.
18, yeah, Paul?
Yeah, same, actually. Yeah.
If you talk a little bit about, I know it's a conversation we always have, but how has the city changed in regards to the the appearance of affluence in ways that we maybe did not see 20 years ago? Do you see that a lot? I don't see all that much of it myself, but certainly in housing prices, which again is happening right across the country. It's stunning. But how has the city changed from your perspective?
Do you want to take that? Or?
I mean, I think there's been a lot of improvements in terms of planning and control. Like, I think we've upped the standard for our city planning, and obviously we've upped the standard for construction in general, which has increased the cost of construction in many ways, but hopefully the safety as well. I just think that we are running up against this whole, we're trying to make housing so perfect that we're actually making it unattainable for a lot of people as well. So I think we need to curb what capitalism is doing to housing. We need to be more actively involved. And sure, it's a global problem, and this is happening to communities all over. But just because that's happening doesn't mean we should throw up our hands and say, well, Nelson's just like every other town. We have this amazing resource. Like, I think Paul wanted to talk to the fact that the golf course lands and this official community plan that is going to include all this additional housing is incredible. I mean, there's a historic, this nonprofit society owns this land. Like, we have the potential to work together to be real problem solvers and to create an amazing city. And I just think that this blast that we got from the Globe and Mail article is not the direction that we want necessarily this town to go in, but we do have other choices.
Paul, do you get the sense, given the fact that it was ironic and somewhat telling of the state of media, that there had been a story in the Nelson Star explaining what had gone through, the 3-year rezoning process. This didn't come out of nowhere. About a month and a half ago, explained what Halo was planning on doing. But it was the Globe and Mail article that really blew people away. Do you feel that perhaps the developers did not read the tone of the room and maybe just got off on the wrong foot, because they all seem to be good guys? What are your thoughts?
I think
just maybe a bit of a bad marketing play right off the bat.
I think there was definitely a bit of a bad marketing play right off the bat, and I think but generally just the tone of the whole development is a bit off, and I don't think it was planned well, and it wasn't planned. It wasn't really planned a lot with the residents in mind. Certainly in this not in this first phase. And but honestly, I think where this has gotten us is it really brought people out of the woodwork. It really put a line in the sand where Nelson residents, who've been slowly getting gentrified, and the town is changing and people are getting pushed out and all that, and then this hit in the Globe and Mail and the video that they put up on their website, and it was really, that was enough. That was too much, and we needed to stand up. We needed to say what we want in this town, and really that puts us in this place where we are now, which is a huge opportunity. And so I think there was some major errors that went into this, but honestly, right now I feel like this has left us in the perfect opportunity to do something amazing here, and we wouldn't be there if it just smoothly went through. So I'm really excited about where this is going to go, and I think we're in a great spot.
It does remind me very much of the Cottonwood effort to stop the logging up at Cottonwood, and for folks going back even farther than that, about the uproar over the proposed sale of the land where the condos now sit beside Walmart. The former Mayor Gary Exner had wanted to build a standalone Walmart, and they were going to give the land away almost for nothing next to Chaco Michael Mall right on the waterfront. But it's interesting to see that even 20 years after that issue, Nelsonites still get involved and stand up when they think something is going somewhat wrong. So kudos to both of you. Paul Saso and Paula Kiss are with us. We've only got a couple of minutes left. How do people get involved? Yeah, how do people get involved from here on in?
Yeah, great question. We certainly have our online petition. Please sign that. We've got paper petitions around town. One's at OSO. It's a real easy place to stop by and sign that. The paper's important. Holds a little more weight with council. You can certainly call, email, write the developers, write the golf course, and just talk to people about it. Talk to people about what's going on. Maybe some people don't know, and just get them thinking about what the potential is here, and what that this is really a time that we can make some change and go towards a really great future here.
Great point. Herb Alex was our guest earlier. One of the Sinaiks leaders in town talked about the importance on this day, Truth and Reconciliation Day, or any day, the importance of dialogue, which is really what seems to be going on here in quite a respectful and actually kind of an entertaining way, especially if you look at the other site. But thanks very much for both your time on a day off. Will you come back and update us on this in the months ahead?
Sure thing.
Sure.
Right on. Okay. Much appreciated. Paula Kiss is with us, and Paul Saso, both with the HellNō Hallō.ca site. You can check it out online. This is Kootenay Morning. I'm your host, Darren Davidson.